Welcome to History Adventuring. This is episode number 154. I'm Brad Hall, and today we're being a Ford family in the 1960s and 70s. My dad started working for the Ford Motor Company in St. Paul soon after we moved to Minneapolis from Mankato in the early 1960s. He stayed there, working as the traffic manager for 30 years until he retired. And it would be hard to imagine a harder working, more loyal person than my dad was. We were a Ford family to the core. My dad had been a GI in World War II, and his worldview really never changed much. Buy American, be American. And while the 1960s were still a good time for American car manufacturers, the 70s would see the end of their dominance. I learned to drive on a 1973 Ford Torino station wagon. That's a 1972 there, the closest I could find to the monstrosity that I remember. It was one of those cars that had a hood that arrived 15 minutes before you did. It was a wallowing, clumsy boat, and whatever designers the Ford Motor Company had in the 1960s, including the designer of the 1964.5 Mustang, must have retired. The best way to describe the Torino station wagon would have been ugly and poorly made. Not that I would have ever said anything like that at the dinner table. There wasn't even any mentioning of Chevrolet. Certainly not the Japanese cars that were becoming more popular. Blasphemy. When I was a little kid, my dad would always get little model cars which he would give to us to play with. My favorite car was the 1968 Cougar, and I still like it. I had a lot of Matchbox cars when I was a kid, too, and in the 1960s, there were a lot of cool designs, including Fords, like the Mustang. I left for college in 1977, and I did it in a 1965 MG Midget, a British sports car. My next car was a Saab Sonnet, and then I went to Ford getting a Fox chassis Mustang. After that, I stayed with American cars, including a 92 Saturn and a 2000 Mercury Cougar. Finally got my Cougar. My dad and I never talked much. He was a typical strong, silent man. But I can hear him saying that everything would be better if everyone just bought a new Ford every 2 years. This has been History Adventuring. I'll talk to you later.